District to order at 6 p.m. Let the record show that a quorum of board members is present, that this meeting has been duly called, and that notice of the meeting has been posted in accordance with the Texas Open Meetings Act, Texas Government Code, Chapter 551. All board members are present. So, Ms. Knight, if you would introduce our guest pastor tonight.
Mr. Jared Douglas, would you come forward, please? Oh, there he is. I'm like, I know I saw you. Where are you? Jared Douglas is married to Amy Douglas, who's a graduate of Red Oak High School, and they have two daughters, Jaden and Allie. Jared spent 8 years in the United States Marine Corps and currently serves as the lead pastor at First Baptist Church, Red Oak. Jared also serves as the chaplain for the Red Oak Police Department, the Red Oak Fire Department, the ROISD Police Department, and the ROISD football team. He has his Bachelor of Science degree in Biblical Studies and Counseling and is finishing his master's degree in Leadership from Liberty University and Dallas Baptist University.
All right, thank you for being here tonight, and thank you for the opportunity to be here. So let me pray. Father, we love you. We thank you for your grace and for your goodness and for your love for us. God, your word says this is the day that you have made, and so God helps us to choose to rejoice and to be glad in it. God, we thank you for just this time of year to remind us of the gratitude we need to have. God, we're grateful for the opportunity we have to live in the United States of America, and we're grateful for the opportunity we have to live in the great state of Texas and here in this great community of Red Oak. God, we thank you for Red Oak ISD, and God, we thank you for our administration. We thank you for our school board, for our educators, for our teachers, for our coaches, for our custodians, for every single person that works in this district. God, we pray you would bless them and you would guide them and protect them. And we pray for our students, God, as they come through the halls of every school here and go into every classroom, that they would get the education they need to become not just smart students, but God, become better citizens for our country and our nation, our community. And so Lord, we just pray for this meeting tonight. God, pray for the wisdom that's needed to make the right choices and right decisions. And we ask all these things in Christ's name. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Jared. Okay, next will be the pledges of allegiance, and Mr. Sebring will announce our pledge leader.
Good evening and welcome. If I could have Ms. Zaria Baldwin please come to the front, please. Welcome, ma'am. Our November pledge leader is Zaria Baldwin. She is 10 years old. Her parents are Ashley and Kenneth Miles. She has an older sister named Keona and a younger sister named Kinsley. Zaria is in the 5th grade at Shubman Elementary School, and her teachers' names are Mrs. Pye, Mrs. Fassarante, Miss Farley, and her favorite subject is reading because she likes learning about the world around her through stories and books. Zaria also enjoys reading and drawing. Her favorite book is Dork Diaries. Although she does not have a pet, she does wish she had a hamster. Mom and Dad, you listen? Hey, can we get a GoFundMe for the hamster? Something she likes about herself is intelligence and an ability to solve problems. Zaria was selected because she shows up at school ready to work, and she's a student that teachers appreciate because she knows how to encourage others and contributes to a supportive classroom environment. When Zaria interacts with her peers, she is inclusive of others and makes sure no one is without a friend. And she has grit and shows reach by being kind and respectful to others. And she is a natural leader who's an all-around great student. She's intelligent, easy to teach and to work with, and she has a beautiful spirit, and her teachers love her infectious smile and feel so blessed and honored to have her as a student. Man, that's a lot of wonderful things to say about a young lady.
Yes, it is.
Step over here and lead.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to the Texas, one state under God, one indivisible.
Thank you.
Next, we will have Miss Sanford announcing our top hawks with the help of Mr. Kelly.
Okay, for the 2025-26 school year, Red Oak ISD continues the celebration of students and staff with the Top Hawks and Hawk Staff Spotlight programs, sponsored by area businesses and organizations. Each grading period, campuses will select the top Hawks, one boy and one girl, from their entire school based on the 4 talents of the Hawk. Each elementary school winner will receive a $25 gift card, and each middle school and high school winner will receive a $50 gift card. These are sponsored this grading period by Compass Data Center, and we are joined by Katie Hancock. Katie, if you'll come on up to present the certificates and the gift cards. So, elementary students, when we call your name, you'll come up and remain standing up here for a picture. From Eastridge Elementary, we have second grader Zoe Rosas. From Eastridge Elementary, third grader Max Ortega. From Red Oak Elementary, fourth grader Caden Williams. From Red Oak Elementary, ECSC, Felicity Hathcock. From Shields Elementary, oh goodness, I hope I don't mess this up, Brielle Timbaugh, fourth grader. And from Shields Elementary, first grader Kai Turney. From Shupman Elementary, second grader Allison Zamora. From Shupman Elementary, second grader Carson Fulton. From Wooden Elementary, pre-K Santiago Sandalva Lobo. And from Wooden Elementary, fourth grader Renata Tovar. And parents, as soon as we get our district picture, we're going to leave them up here and give you plenty of time to come down and take a picture.
And I also want to ask, while they're setting up for the picture, if everyone will stay until the recognitions are finished. That way everybody gets a chance to hear their child's name called without a bunch of commotion in the audience. And I'll stop and give you a minute to leave.
Shawn, turn her certificate around. This is like a- Parents, you can- Keep smiling, keep smiling. No more. You're right, son. Is that everybody?
Okay. One more round of applause. Congratulations. Okay, we're going to move into our secondary schools. We're going to start with Red Oak Middle School, seventh grader, Aiden Rosas. And seventh grader, Kinsey Land. Shaw Middle School, seventh grader, Nazira Metcalf. And seventh grader, Summer Lofton from Shaw Middle School. Okay, moving into our high school, we have senior Gianna Thomas. And senior Sima Cox. Let me see what that looks like. Let me see the picture. No, delete that.
Yeah.
Congratulations. And we have our Hawk Staff Spotlight. Compass Data Centers is also sponsoring the Hawk Staff Spotlight. From our bus drivers and office staff to principals, custodians, teachers, and more, our Hawk Nation consists of the best of the best. Every day, Hawk staff go above and beyond in a variety of ways. Today's winner will receive a certificate and a $100 gift card from our sponsor, Compass Data Center. Congratulations to the Hawk Staff Spotlight, Maria Shilden, 7th grade science teacher at Red Oak Middle School. And just a quick share on her nomination. Every day, Mariah creates a dynamic and engaging learning environment where students are not only encouraged to explore scientific concepts, but are also actively involved in hands-on labs that bring their concepts to life. Congratulations. Okay, at this time, we are going to bring Dr. Jeter up, Jennifer Jeter, Director of Career and Technology Education, and she is going to be presenting Carbon Aerospace. And Mr. Knight is going to come down as well.
Good evening. Our robotics team, Talon Inc., over the past couple of years has excelled in state competition. With the help of Carbon Aerospace, their donation of $6,000 helps us get into the competition. It's an entry fee, and it also helps us get to Houston to go compete. The past 3 years, we have been in the top 50. We have almost made it to Worlds. We are not quite there yet, but we are very close, and hopefully this year we'll get there. So this year, Doug is presenting us with the big check that we frame up into the hallway, so it's a lot of fun if you ever want to go see it. Thank you. And we have our teachers, April Moon and Jonathan Labrum here, and a couple of our head leaders in our robotics team. If they will come up and join us for a picture.
Thank you so much. Sponsors like this keep everything going for Red Oak ISD, so we appreciate you so much.
Thank you.
Okay, that concludes our recognitions. So those of you that have children that might have homework and you'd like to get started on it, can leave if you would like to. We'll give you a couple of minutes. But as always, you're welcome to stay for the whole meeting. We'd love to have you.
Thank y'all. Congratulations.
Cheer for the Cowboys.
Yeah.
We're gonna
Haven't
need
started yet.
Yeah, I think so too. That's right. That's right. That's exactly right.
Okay, we will get started again. At this time, we will have a public hearing to discuss the Financial Integrity Rating System of Texas, which its abbreviation is FIRST, FIRST. And Dr. Bill Johnston will be presenting the information.
Good evening. Thank you. Every year, this is something that TA required us to do every year. And so it's going to be similar to what we've done in the past. Just talk a little bit about the history, the rating, the indicators, and then some of the disclosures that we're obligated to provide, and then answer any questions that the board may have or the community may have. Again, the purpose is to ensure that school districts are not only accountable for the student learning, but also that they are for the financial management being cost effectively and efficient.
That's good.
Again, the primary goal is to encourage school districts to better manage the district's financial resources and to evaluate fairly the quality of financial management that's taking place and be transparent by discussing results to the public, which we're doing this evening. The district score is based on a summation of 21 financial indicators. It's a score of 100. There used to be 15 indicators, but 5 years ago they upped it to 21. And there's also something called a ceiling indicator, which you pass it and then you get points. If you don't pass it, you may fail the whole rating system. And the ratings are based on data from the 23-24 school year. Because trying to get all this done, it's about a year behind. And so superior would be 90 points to 100 points. And that's what we've been for the last few years. Broken down to pass fail, there's 10 of those indicators. 9 have a maximum points of 10. 2 of them have a maximum points of 5. Some of them have that critical indicator, which is either pass or fail. And there's 7 of those, and those are the numbers there listed. And then for this year, like in the last several years, because of results of the pandemic, indicator 10 this year is not being evaluated, and I'll share what that is in a few seconds with you. The first one is, did we submit to TA our audit in time? It was due on December 27th, and we sent it on November 25th. Just as FYI, there's something happening now here in the state of Texas that they've postponed us submitting the audit this year until February. Typically in October, November, we'd come back and present that to the board, but because of some of the changes in the rating scales, they pushed it back until February. So we'll come back in January, February with the audit, which should not be any issues. Again, did we have an unmodified opinion? The answer is yes. We did not have any issues with our 2024 audit. Were we in compliance with the payment terms for all debt obligations? Typically, that's twice a year in August and February, and we made all of our bond payments on time, so there's no issues there. And then we make timely payments for other things like TRS, workers' comp, IRS, and yes, we did. There's no issues there, so we passed. Then were the net assets in the government activities greater than 0? Yes, we had 56 million of net assets, so we greater than 0, so we passed that. 6, the star represents one of the newer ones that were added about 4 to 5 years ago. Was the average change in fund balance over 3 years less than 25% decrease, or did the current year assigned and unassigned fund balance exceed 75 days of operating expenditures? Our fund balance has gone up over the last 3 years by 2.7%, and we have roughly 111 days of expenditures, a fund balance to cover 111 days of expenditures. So we passed that, no problems. This is one that it's a little frustrating. This one we dropped us 2 points this year, and it's basically was the number of days of cash on hand and the current investments in the general fund of the district sufficient to cover operating expenditures. They say if you have above 90 days, then you're good. And at the end of January, we only had 16 million of cash, but we had about 5 million of receivables, money that was coming in but wasn't here on June 30th. So if that money had gotten here, and probably state funding and things like that, if that had gotten here, that would have taken us above the 90. So because of that, we had 82 days instead of the 90 days. So we had 8 points instead of the 10 points. Was a measure of current assets to current liability ratio for the school district sufficient to cover short-term debt? The threshold is over 3. We are at 7.8. So we're past that. Did the school district general fund revenue equal or exceed expenditures? Yes, by 1.84%. So we got more revenue than the expenditures that were spent. Did the school district average less than a 10% variance when comparing budgeted revenue to actual revenue for the last 3 years? And as you see, we're about 2% difference between what was budgeted and actual. So we're fairly close, only less than 2% difference. So that's less than the 10%. So we got the full 10 points. This was the one not evaluated this year. And I think a lot of it has to do with the pandemic and districts recouping from that. Were the ratio of long-term liabilities and total assets for the school district sufficient to support long-term solvency of the student enrollment, or were the student enrollment greater than 10%? Our solvency is 0.69. They say it should be less than 0.60, but because we had almost 9% increase in student enrollment, then we passed this without any issues as well. Was a correlation between future debt requirements and the district's assessed property value? We're at 3.9, which is less than 4. Since we've issued more bonds, that may be problematic moving forward. So we just have to wait and see how all this plays out for the future years, because we issued $175 million of bonds in August, and that would be part of that long-term liability column. Well, the school district's administrative ratio less than the threshold. Threshold's 10%. We're at 9.6%, so we're below that threshold. And that's something we watch pretty closely every year to make sure we are less than the 10%. Because when I first came, it was greater than 10%, and we got it back down below the 10%. Did the school district not have a 15% decline in student to staff ratio over 3 years? We did not. So the question's kind of difficult. The answer is yes, we did not have that. So we got the 10 points. The school district ADA within the allotted range for the district's biennial pupil projections. And yes, we were very close to that. And what this really means is like 3 years before the budget, we have to tell TEA what we think the enrollment's going to be. Because then they use that for each of the legislative sessions. So it's, that's every 2 years. So they need 2 years worth of data. So that's almost either 2 to 3 years ahead. So we're pretty close to estimating what we think it's going to be to what the actual has been. Did the comparison of public education information, the PEIMS data, to what was the actual AFR, we were only $90 off of that. So that's pretty good as well. Did the external independent audit report have any incidents of material weakness? The answer is no, so we passed that without any issues. Did the external independent auditor indicate the AFR was free of any instance of material non-compliance? We didn't have any non-compliance, so we got the 10 points of that as well. Did the school district post the required financial information on its website? Yes, we did, and so we got the maximum points there. Did the school district administration and school board members discuss any changes to the local, state, and federal funding at a board meeting? Yes, we did. We do that every May before the board adopts the budget every June. Then the last indicator, did the school receive any adjusted prepayment schedule for more than one fiscal year? We did not. We've not been overpaid by the state, so we don't have to worry about this. Again, you may have some districts that get money from the state, but when the state does the final settle up, they overpaid them, so then they require them to send the money back. We haven't been in that situation. So unfortunately, the last 2 years, we were at a score of 100. This year, we're still a superior achievement, but we lost those 2 points due to the not getting the cash in, having it in our accounts by the end of June, so we only had 98 points. That's still the highest level. And then this is for all the districts in the state. 85% are at that superior rating, which we're at. And then there's a few of them that are below that as well. Then there's some other required information we're required to put into the document that we prepared. One of the superintendent's contract, reimbursements received by the superintendent and board members, any compensation or fees received by the superintendent outside of the district, gifts received, or business transactions. The last three are all zero. The superintendent's contract is out on the website for anybody to see that. Here's the reimbursements. Not everybody went to conferences. Typically, this would just be reimbursement for going to the conferences or the registration fees, maybe not reimbursement, but registration fees and costs for board member to do things. And so not everybody did that. So this is what it was for the 23-24 school year. And then again, the outside compensation, zero. Gifts received, zero. Business transactions, zero. And so that's pretty much it. Any questions?
Seeing as this is a public hearing, if anyone in the audience would like to make a comment or have any questions, please raise your hand. Okay.
Just one comment. Bill, we appreciate you. There's a lot of districts that are in a deficit, and we're not. So that's a positive, and we need to look at that positive. Even though we hit a 98 instead of the 100, that's still fantastic.
Yes.
We're still ahead of most people. And when you look at that, like on the indicators of 15, it shows 5 points. When you first look at that, you're like, okay, what's the deal? But it's only rated at 5 points.
Yeah,
and
right.
that needs to be understood as we're going through the slides, that when people see the 5 point, that is the maximum point.
There are two of the indicators are at the maximum of 5. The rest of them are 10.
But again, we appreciate you, Bill.
Yep, thank you very much.
Any other questions or comments from the board? Okay, and we will move on to the superintendent's report. Thank you, Dr. Johnson.
Thank you so much. Okay, we are going to have Philip Pacifica, our Chief of Police at Red Oak ISD Police Department, to give a discussion on our intruder detection audit findings.
Good evening. Unfortunately, on October 28th, the district had a intruder detection audit at the high school. As you recall, back maybe from the end of last year, the TEA will send auditors out to the different campuses to ensure that you're in compliance with the standards. And there were a couple of things that were noted within the audit of the 28th. It was 2 external doors. One was propped open, and the other one, it's a mechanical issue. That thing had been reported a couple of different times. It had just been fixed. And it had been checked just not too long prior to that. On that morning prior to the audit, it had been checked by one of the officers, and it was fine. Sometime between that check and the auditor's appearance, not too long after that, the door has to open and close, and it was able to be one of them was able to be pulled open. Same thing on the other one that was propped open. Security officer had checked it not too long before that, but sometime after that, it got propped open by a student, we're assuming. And so those are the 2 findings. They did note that there was at least one place where there was something outside a door that they believe could be used to prop open. There's no indication that it had been used to prop open. They just made that notation. It wasn't a finding. So the actual findings were those 2 doors. If you'll remember, so requirements are, 1, we have to have a board meeting, which we're doing now, posted public meeting, and bring that to your attention. It also requires that we do live training to for a remedial type thing to basically relearn what we're supposed to be doing. And like I said, in this case, some of it's unfortunate, but it is what it is. 2 doors were left, were found open. So we have already done 1 training this past Friday, and the makeup date is this coming Friday to fix basically everybody that's assigned at the high school, regardless of your assignment, has to attend the live training. In the training, we geared toward the findings. And one of the things, so to address the door problem, like I said, there had already been some work orders, but what we told staff and what I've reiterated with my team is, I don't care if you find a door daily with the same issue, you're going to do a work order daily. Some of the issue, and I talked to Mr. Stanford, is, over time you have some settling. That's could be part of the problem. And then sometimes it's wind, it's different issues. A couple things with the door. 1 is you can't be able to pull it open. 2, if you push it open, it has to shut and close by itself. So those are things that we have them check. And again, we've encouraged, we told the staff daily, if you find the same door and there's a problem, it needs to be reported daily with a work order, because we can be able to show and Mr. Stanford's team comes quickly to address any issue. So we would have a running trail of that. And then obviously there's this door that we're repeatedly seeing open, maybe figure out some other issue to see how we address that. So that was there. On the propping open, that's an education piece. Like I said, in this case, we're fairly confident it was a student. So coaches were made aware to talk to their teams on that end of it. We've also refocused to make sure we're checking that more. Again, it had just been checked not too long before the audit, but it was unfortunate that it was propped open. So those are the 2 things that we have to report. Again, the trainings, 1 has already taken place. The other one will take place this Friday for the rest of the group that weren't able to make the first day. As a requirement, like I said, we have the board meeting. Our next safety committee meeting, which will be in the spring, we have to make sure it's noted then as well. So we'll do that in the spring. And then by December 27th, we have to upload through Sentinel to the TEA all the steps that we took, which includes a plan of how we're going to try to address that. And I've already discussed most of that is, increase the checks as much as we can, make sure we're reporting any malfunctions, and then working with students to ensure they know they can't prop open doors. And then the other thing we did push, because they which we've said before, but we also reiterated in the training, if you see anything next to an exterior door that could be used to prop it open, we're telling people just to remove it. So that'll take the opportunity away. That is about it. Again, I have until the 27th to upload in December, but our plan will be to upload next week, because we will finish the training this Friday, have all the rosters to be able, because I have to submit the roster, I have to submit a copy of this agenda that it was posted, I have to submit what the corrective plan was, and we'll get all that taken care of and uploaded next week. So I'll be glad to answer any questions that you may have.
So so we have videos at all these doors, right?
Yes, sir.
So does the video say that it was a student, or does the video say that it was a teacher?
The video in this case says nothing, because the IT was in the process of switching servers to a different system. So on that day, there was no video.
Had to be that.
So we can't have that. And we need to do those on off times. We need to do those updates during off hours, because if an incident happened, it wouldn't be, all of us would be on the front page of the news. That is unacceptable. And the people who are doing the crap need to be reprimanded and held accountable, whether it's a student or teacher or staff or a custodian. If it's my kid, I don't care. If something happened to one child in that building, we would all be on the front page of the news on every single place in the country, and be embarrassed and worried and up here sobbing and woe is me. But we're not doing the preventative things that are simple, stupid to make sure that it doesn't happen. We have to do the simple, stupid stuff.
On the part of the plan is there is corrective action noted that if someone's found, they would be held accountable. We've got that in. I failed to mention that. I'm sorry. I will say on that particular door, video probably wouldn't have been available. You would have been able to see the outside, but you can't see the inside because of the location of where that door is.
Well, then we need to add another camera so they can see both sides of
What
it.
I'm saying is you can't because it's inside the girls' locker room. I mean, that's the problem we have. We are looking at some other options, possibilities of maybe an audible on that door, but and a couple other
the
doors.
one is it the exit that goes to the softball field?
Softball and tennis area.
Okay, so then the next solution for that is to make it so that you can only enter through the main door that goes out by Anderson's office or out through physical therapy, right?
Right.
Yep.
Or some fencing. I mean, there are things with fencing that you could do as well, where if it's within an enclosed secure area, you meet the safety standard as well.
Well, if you just lock the door and you make it so they got to go out the other way, then it's done and you don't got to put up anything else.
I'll defer to Mr. Stanford, but I don't think we can lock the door because I think it's considered a fire exit. So in other words, you're always going to have the ability to push it open.
Yeah. Mr. Cordero, you want to talk about the sound
Some of
devices
the
that you're,
options.
yeah.
We're actually looking at.
we're looking at something that I'd just like for him to discuss right quick so you could hear it. Uh-huh.
So I've got a small committee of two, myself and Melissa Shulak. We walked every building in the district, met with each of the principals, met with the athletic director, and we talked about door alarms. There's very specific doors that are, I would call weaknesses, where kids let other kids in. The athletic field house, when I talked to Chris Anderson, he said, I've got two very specific doors. This was a little while ago. I think one of those doors is one of the two that was propped open. So we've got a map. We've gotten input from all the principals, from Mr. Nitch, from Chris Anderson. And so we feel that if we were able to put these alarms in these specific locations that the principals and other district leaders have said are vulnerable spots, You know, let's just take door 33 where the high school is. We put a door alarm there. We turn that key that if anybody opens it during certain periods of the day, it starts sounding like crazy. What's going to happen? Whoever propped that door is going to take off running. Probably see them on camera. And number two, the staff members that are nearest to that door are going to be really upset about the fact that that door is going off and they're going to close it. And that loudness is going to get the attention of folks in the building. And so we have identified a company. We've identified exactly which doors and how many alarms for each door. If at some point we're able to move forward with that, even if we just piloted the high school and piloted another school, we were thinking about starting with the high school where we've identified 27 doors that could benefit from the alarms. Then we could use that as a little case study and then maybe go around the district and do the rest. The company that we're looking at is, they've got a shop in Waxahachie. They could come and do the installation and, you know, hopefully these kind of failed audits would be something of the past.
Well, and I love that you have that you come with solutions, right? I love that. But at the end of the day, the person or child who's doing it, if they got no skin, it doesn't matter. You have to sit a couple games, you have to sit a couple innings, there's consequences for you as an individual, then it means something. Right now, it doesn't mean anything, right? If it means you get kicked out of the program because if a breach happened and something happened, it could be tragedy. And they don't see it as that, but sometimes you have to rule a little bit harder than the soft glove kid hands that we play with.
Rest assured, if we find who does things like this, even if it's a student, we are going to hold them accountable. We're going to look at the student code of conduct and see where that lies, and we're going to match it with the consequence.
Thank you.
I just wanted you to hear the things that they were working through as well.
We met with Mr. Cordero and his team as well and looked at those same doors and confirmed those are the ones that we see as areas as well. I will say the prop that was used, the coaches for the respective teams that may have had athletes that left the prop, they did try to research. It was a sandal basically, and so they did try to research to find the person responsible without success. So.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. And at this time, I'm going to have Mr. Cordero, Chief of Secondary Schools and Programs, to come back up with our Red Oak Middle School Principal, Mr. Chris Thompson, and they're going to talk to you about local improvement plan.
I'm going to lower the mic, and then I'm sure he's going to raise it all the way up. Well, good evening. In your documents, you have a PowerPoint, and you have another document. The PowerPoint goes with the document, and it's called a LIP, which stands for Local Improvement Plan. In October, you received the SIP, which stands for Campus Improvement Plan. The difference between the two is the Campus Improvement Plan is developed by the campus team with the direction of other folks here in the district. And the LIP is a state mandate. Anytime you have a campus that's a D or an F, if it's your year one, and in this case it's ROM's year one, 69D, the state of Texas has one requirement. And that one requirement is that a presentation be given to the Board of Trustees on the local improvement plan. And that is what we're going to do for you this evening. Again, the plan is required. The local improvement plan looks very different from the campus improvement plan for several reasons. One is it's the state's document. Number two, it follows a framework called the Effective Schools Framework, which is a research-based best strategy for improving schools. So the ESF framework gives you 5 levers. In this case, several of us, myself and Lynn Dockery and others, we sat down with Chris Thompson and his team. It took about 6 or 7 hours to develop what you have in front of you this evening. It was an excellent exercise. It was an opportunity for reflection. It was a real honest exercise. It was an opportunity for us to work with Mr. Thompson and his team to see exactly where he and his team felt that where they were, not where Mr. Cordero feels they are, but where he feels he and his team are. Out of those 5 levers, we worked with the team to develop something out of 3 levers. So there's 5 levers, but the campus picks the 3 that they feel that are the most important to them. And in a few minutes, you'll hear the presentation about those 3 levers. Just one quick highlight. ROMS this year has probably done more than 250 walkthroughs than they have in the past. There is a district initiative, which you'll hear more about at some point, and that's Fundamental 5. And basically, there's a book study that goes with it. It kind of gives the blueprint of how these Fundamental 5 walks should be done. All campuses are doing this. In the case of ROMS, like I said, they've logged in more than 250 class walks than they have in the last 4 or 5 years. So that has been a game changer. There's been a lot of data meetings, state of the campus meetings, where we turn over everything that's underneath the hood, from discipline to instruction to hires. We do that 4 times a year. The 3 secondary campuses do data meetings with me every 3 weeks. They present to each other. We bring others in the room where they're able to talk, and they're able to be reflective about all types of data, from common assessment data, CBA data, discipline data, the high school CCMR data. So there's ongoing reflection. Anytime we have these data meetings, we always start with, what did you do with the meeting, the recommendations we gave you at the last meeting? So they always start with, we had a meeting 3 weeks ago, this is what my team and I did with that. There's been ongoing T-test calibrations with myself, Lynn Dockery and her team, and then ongoing campus classroom visits. So there's been a lot of work that's been laid out this year. And again, just kind of staying with the fidelity of the LIP process, you'll now hear from Chris Thompson as he raises the mic to talk to you about that process.
Thank you.
All righty, thank you, Mr. Cordero. Board, appreciate the opportunity to come share with you all tonight. First and foremost, I do want to say a special thanks to several of the people who did help with the creation of the LIP. This wasn't something that was just done by myself and my team. A few of those folks are Mr. Israel Cordero, the Chief of Secondary Schools and Programs, Lynn Dockery, the Director of Curriculum and Instruction, Marilee Stone, the the District Accountability Coordinator, Elizabeth Howe, the Secondary Math and Science Coordinator, and Erica Nelson, the Secondary ELAR Social Studies Coordinator, as well as my campus-based team. All right. So Mr. Cordero spoke to this, but why do we need to have a LIP, or a local improvement plan? The reason why is we were identified as being additionally targeted. And when that happens, when a campus has 1 or more student groups whose performance is consistently low in set outcomes. So there are 2 student groups that were identified. Those 2 groups are our SPED population and our EB, or our emergent bilingual population. You'll notice it notes that this is the first year of a D campus, but I've shared with you on the slides the last 3 years of ratings. Due to a combination of the COVID-19 pandemic and lawsuits that followed changes to the system, Texas school accountability ratings were delayed for several years. That's why it looks like we've had a D in the last 3 years, but I'm saying this is the first year that we've had a D campus. It's because of that delay to the ratings that was done. It is of note to see the growth that occurred between the 22-23 school year and the 23 and 24 school year, and obviously our goals for growth for this year as well. Speaking of those 2 focus groups, the 2 groups are the special education students. We've done several things to identify ways to support and to better improve the educational experience of our special education students. A few of those things are just the strategic scheduling of students, our focus on use of accommodations in the classroom consistently, focused tutoring for this group of students, teacher training on how to accommodate lessons and student activities, and of course, progress monitoring. Of note, we've also included our SPED inclusion support paraprofessionals in the PLC, or the professional learning community process, to ensure that they're planning with the campus teachers in the instructional areas, so that they're a part of the goal setting and they're a part of the methods that are chosen to be successful for students when they're in the classrooms offering their support. As far as our emergent bilingual students, a few of those areas, again, speaking to the strategic scheduling of students, we've identified classes called ELA classes this year that we have our students who meet those EB requirements are grouped together. We've also added an ESL teacher that's supporting all of secondary by the name of Miss Rivas, but she's given us a special focus daily at Red Oak Middle School. We've been offering training to teach our for our teachers on how to use and implement Elevation, which is a program that's used for emergent bilinguals, and obviously our progress monitoring. Real quick to speak to our overall rating, you will notice that our overall rating last year was a 69 or a D. That rating comes from a combination of 70% of the higher of two areas, either the student achievement or the school progress. Our student achievement, as you can see, was a 71. That is the higher of the two. So that rated for 70% of our overall rating. The closing the gaps is the other 30%, and we rated a 65. So taking a look at those, you can see that there was one area that was particularly lower than the others, and that was the closing the gaps, which resulted in our overall rating of a 69. On this next slide, what you'll see is a grade rating on the far right column for each of the grades and areas that are assessed through the STAR test. Quick highlights here or lowlights, you'll notice that in reading overall, Red Oak Middle School was rated a C. In math, it was a D. In science, it was a C. And in history, it was an F. We've done several things to target those areas that we see the D and the F. As far as our math team of teachers this year, I've got 7 math teachers. All 7 of them were not on Red Oak Middle School campus last year in their current position. So we've got some new folks. We've got some new blood. We've got a new math and science instructional coach to help support those folks as well. In our history department, again, this is our 8th grade scores only that are resulting in that grade of an F. We have hired a new, actually, recruiter back to Red Oak Middle School from years ago, 8th grade social studies teacher who's going to help support there. So we do feel like we've got some new blood in some of these areas. Real quick, just to illustrate what those numbers mean, the green and the red, you'll see from the previous year whether that was an increase is represented in green. And if it's a red, that's a decrease. So you can kind of see some of the general trends that we saw from one year to the next last year. Moving on to closing the gaps data. Closing the gaps again, which was 30% of our overall rating, what we see is that we left points on the table. There are areas where you can earn a total number of possible points. On this slide, I've shown you the total number of possible points on the far right column, and in that middle column, it says the total number of points that we earned. Ultimately, there's a few areas we could improve here, but the number one area is that growth status. We're seeing too many of our subpopulations not growing at an expected rate, and so growth is that focus for our whole campus this year, as it is most years, but and certainly this year is going to be a target area for us to help us improve that closing the gaps data. Mr. Cordero spoke to this, but the ROMS Local Improvement Plan, or LIP, was based on the Texas Effective School Framework. There are 5 levers that are represented in there. With those 5 levers, we went through a long and lengthy process, as he illustrated, to ensure that the areas we focused on are the areas that are going to result in the most strategic growth for our campus, as well as representing the areas that we feel like we assessed ourselves and saw areas we needed to improve in. There was a process that we followed for setting goals. The first was to complete a self-assessment. You can see that self-assessment in the local improvement plan itself, based on each of the levers, to see how we rated ourselves with Mr. Cordero and his team. We identified the 3 key areas of improvement that I'll illustrate in the next few slides. We discovered potential root causes for those gaps. We set a goal and identified action steps to align with the goal. We reviewed any potential barriers that would exist to keep us from achieving those goals. And then, of course, we identified district staff who could help us assist with building capacity. Which folks do we have in the district that could already help us support if we just got them more involved in what's happening on the campus? So the 3 areas that we identified were levers 5.2, 5.3, and 3.1. Lever 5.2 is building teacher capacity through observation and feedback cycles. You'll note on here that we've set a goal that by the end of each semester, each administrator will complete a minimum of the 3 documented walkthroughs per teacher. and 9 Fundamental 5 walkthroughs with feedback aligned to T-test dimensions, and ensure that 100% of teachers receive feedback within 48 hours of observation. One thing that we saw is that we had walkthroughs occurring, but feedback wasn't getting to teachers quickly to where they could actually do something about what we saw in the classroom. So we are working to improve that so that within 48 hours, teachers know what things went well from the walkthrough and what areas can they improve in, so that there's a continuous growth that's occurring in real time. Lever 5.3 was the next one, which was data-driven instruction. We want to create and utilize data analysis protocol after each formal assessment with 100% fidelity to increase student achievement. Not only are we doing the data meetings with Mr. Cordero and his team, I've also established a routine of having data meetings after every CBA with each team that gives a CBA, and with each math team after assessments that they give with their curriculum. This has given me an opportunity to speak to training pieces that I want to see instilled in our teachers in terms of analyzing data, and then what do we do with that data to make changes. I was schooled in how to learn and assess data while I worked as a teacher in this district. And so it's been a great opportunity for me to kind of give back to some of the teachers that we've hired, some of the new blood, show them how things, can be done here so that we're strategic about what we're doing. The third one is lever 3.1, which is explicit school-wide behavioral expectations and culture routines. We want to decrease the number of discipline referrals by 5% each 6 weeks. So going into a little more in-depth on each of those, speaking to lever 5.2, some of the action steps that we've identified are consistent curriculum classroom walks with that immediate feedback to teachers, the fundamental 5 walks with immediate feedback to teachers, and T-test collaboration classroom walks with immediate feedback to teachers. This truly is a team effort. It's not just myself and my team on the campus doing these walks and providing this feedback. It really is district officials as well. Ms. Dockery and her team have been a great asset to us to ensure that my team, as we're walking in classes, we're looking for the right things, and that we're able to articulate to the teachers, hey, what areas can you do better? So that's been huge growth for us. The next one is our data-driven instruction. Again, we want to formalize a discipline data protocol. We found that a lot of times teachers and even sometimes administrators didn't know our discipline data, didn't know what trends are we seeing across the campus in terms of student behavior and in terms of what we're wanting those students to be doing. So we've added a discipline data protocol to share data with a committee made up of teachers, made up of administrators, and made up of other support positions such as an instructional coach and a counselor, so that we have a well-rounded approach to what are the trends, what are the things we're seeing in the classrooms across the campus, and then what can we do about it. We've also created incentives for students as they reach the campus expectations. An example of that is the Hawks List, which is an incentive that we've created to reward our students who take care of business every day in the classroom. For a student to be on the Hawks List, they have to have no zeros in the grade book, no referrals to the office, and no tardies. So we're really trying to reward the students who are doing a great job in all of the areas, not just students who are honor roll students. And again, our accountability trainings have been really instrumental in making sure that everybody on my campus understands exactly how the accountability system is measured and what we can do to strategically improve those areas. Marilee Stone was a great support to us by coming to the campus and familiarizing all of our instructional staff on exactly what does that process look like. We ensured that not just teachers went through that training, but also our paraprofessionals, coaches, everybody. The third prioritized focus is lever 3.1. Again, some of the action steps here to create and implement teacher and administrative data analysis forms. We are planning time for department teams to review and analyze data after assessments. Part of that is those meetings that the teachers are having with me and my team. And to create a plan of intervention for the analyzed data and follow-up progress. Not just looking at numbers to see what the numbers are, but now what do we do with those numbers and what's our plan for intervention for students? Last is progress monitoring. There's more information in the progress monitoring piece in the local improvement plan itself, so I would encourage you to look there. But we've set various data checkpoints that we're going to be looking at to ensure how are we doing. We've set goals. We're saying we're going to do these many walkthroughs. Are we getting them done? We've said that the feedback's going to go to the teachers. Is it getting it done? So we're utilizing various data sources throughout the year to track that progress. Some of those things to keep us honest with our efforts are the agendas from our various meetings, the district data dashboards that were created by Megan Corns and her team. There was one that's developed for the Fundamental 5 walks that's been a great, support and use for us, as well as the discipline dashboard that was created so that we can see and share data overall on the campus with any teacher, but also with any support staff that we have on the campus as well. Again, our focus on the Fundamental 5 classroom walkthroughs, our T-test required walkthroughs, but also our separate PLC and data meetings. Overall, our goal with the local improvement plan is to ensure that what we're doing is we're aware of what's happening in the classrooms, that we're aware of what areas we can improve in, and that we're actually doing something about that. All right. With that, any questions from y'all?
Back on level 5.2.
Mhm.
When this data is presented and the feedback is given within that 48-hour, for the observations,
Mhm.
what is the communication there? If they receive the data, what is discussed? I mean, is there contacts made to where they understand what the data is? So we want to make sure that when they receive it, they have full understanding of what it is, what they need to do with it. So when they receive it, is there communication that goes on at that point?
That's a great question. So D. Jamalia Freeman is the new assistant principal that I hired this year, and she developed a form that we complete while we're in the classroom. That it's a real quick form where we type in a glow from the lesson. So a grow would be something that we want to see them improve. A glow is something that we thought that they did well on. And then a wondering, something that, hey, I'm wondering, have you tried this? Have you tried that? We're able to complete that while we're in the classroom with the teacher, and then we can just hit send as soon as we walk out the door. And so the teacher, as soon as they get a moment, because their schedules are pretty busy, but as soon as they get a moment, they've already gotten an email that shows them in that form what the grow and the glow and the wondering would be. With our T-test walkthroughs, obviously those are done in a platform that's already established by the district. And so when those are submitted, again, it's a similar format where it goes into more detail based on each of the different dimensions on how a teacher was rated, what they did well on, and then obviously some coaching pieces as well. What are some things they could do better on?
Okay. Thank you.
These actions sound like you're on it, but I'm wondering, why haven't we always done this? I mean, why do we wait until the grade goes down or everything's going way down, and then we think, oh, well, maybe we should be checking on that? I just don't understand why now, why haven't we always done it?
And I think that's a fair question. I will tell you, I taught in this district. I've mentioned that before, and I did feel like feedback was something that we did a better job of. We were consistently, I knew areas as a teacher that I could grow in. I did have coaching. I did have support from my administrators. I can't speak to why we haven't been doing it as well as we should have in the past, but I can tell you that we're bringing that back. We're bringing back things that made us successful in the past. We're going to make sure that that's priority for us, not just this year, but
Yeah. That was a thought I had as well, and thinking about that. Now, I want to take just a second, and this is a great report, and I appreciate everyone who, across so many different areas, really worked together to produce this. I think this is great, and it says a lot about the power of all of us working together to be able to accomplish something. And I know we got a long ways to go, but I mean, this is a great start. So I've got a lot of questions. Okay, all right. A few of them are pretty simple, but first of all, these students that we're talking about are all the middle school students, correct?
So
And
that's
the-
a great question. The campus improvement plan for ROMs and the local, really just for the Red Oak Middle School students.
Okay.
I know that Ms. Washington and her team have gone through this.
Yes.
Well, okay, so what I'm asking though is the D result
All students,
all
correct.
students? Okay, I'm sorry, I didn't say that right. Okay, so then now I'm going there, so you've done that. Are we gonna be able to hear that report as well?
You can
Or-
also hear that if you'd like to. Mr. Cordero can speak on that because he's been working with Ms. Washington as well.
It really was a good exercise.
I think it went off, yeah. His batteries.
Just stand there for a minute. Not to be uncomfortable or anything, just stand there a minute.
Well, I'll jump ahead then on that is that I'm just thinking about, could we be able to see that for the full group since
Yes.
that they impacted that score?
Yes, correct.
And so,
I know he can't, his mic's not working right now.
yeah, I know,
but-
I'm just.
But he
trying
did,
to fill
Mr.
that.
Cordero worked the same process with Ms. Washington as well, and had her work the process as well. So that has occurred,
Okay,
yes. Yeah, I don't think you can be heard live right now.
I'm sorry,
Hold on just a second.
the internet.
He was running.
Chris,
So
I
you
just
can
want to
come up here
brag
and
on
talk
you,
in mine.
since my mic is open, but I have walked through your campus several times this year, and I've been very impressed of how the students are in the halls, and people are visible in the halls, including yourself. So, you know, this is your first year as the principal, so I have to say, all of this is not blamed on you, because we know how it is, but I want you to know that myself and I think others, they appreciate the job you're doing over there.
And on the same note, at Heart of a Teacher today, we walked in as a group at Shaw Middle School to give an award, and the teacher kept teaching because I think she thought it was another walkthrough. And so it was indicative that they're getting a lot. She just
That's
kept
great.
right on teaching. So it was awesome. It was awesome. Go ahead, Mr. Cordero.
Yeah, I know it's been answered already. It really was a great exercise for reflection. We really paused the clock. I think we did this over the course of 2 or 3 days, 2 or 3 hours each day. It is a process that we did not rush. We wanted the campus to own it, so we put a lot of time in reflecting the power of the minds. We had a lot of celebrities around the table, and they were good thought partners for Mr. Thompson and his team. Because of that exercise, we ran over to Shaw as quickly as we could because we know that she has the other half of the students that ended up having ROMs become a 69D. And so we felt that it was a good growth, professional development opportunity for ROMs. So we did the exact same process with Shaw, and I think last week we completely finished her LIP plan. The only thing that we haven't done on her end is created the PowerPoint, but the process for Shaw is already complete. I think she had 6 or 7 folks around the table working through that with us, just the same way Mr. Thompson did. Hers looks a little different because they did their assessment and they said this is where we feel we are. They did pick some of the same levers, but they're in different places for different reasons, and so we met them where they are. So if you at some point were to ask for it, and we showed you her LIP and her self-assessment and her team self-assessment, you would see that they're in a different place than Mr. Thompson. Not that one's ahead of the other, they're just in a different place with their team.
So would we have an opportunity to hear that report maybe in the future?
Yes, we can bring that back.
I think that would be great. Okay, a couple of things on the 2 focus groups, on the emerging bilingual and the special ed. How many students are you actually talking about? I know we saw percentages.
Right. About 18% of our campus is special education. So out of, what were we, about 750? I mean, we're talking about, about 140, I would say, special education students. Our EB numbers have kind of fluctuated, so I'd hate to give you a number there and be way off. But Miss Rivas, who is that ESL teacher that's kind of come in, she is working with our EB students every day. So we've actually given her a class period that she works with some of those students every day, which has really been a tremendous asset for us.
I know last month we had a great report from the groups from bilingual.
Yes.
And the emergent bilingual, and one of the questions was about waivers. Is the lack of having teachers who are qualified in these areas at all part of what you're seeing as relates to this group?
You know, that's a great question. I think now we're looking at data from the teachers that we had last year. You know what I mean? And
Okay.
so
What did that, do you look back at that and think that impacted that?
I think it could. I do. I think that we have wanted to make sure that this year we are supporting not just those teachers, but those students, you know, by creating those Ella classes, as I spoke to, where we're putting those groups in, those students in groups where they can receive more targeted support. Then we're doing more what we can with the resources that we do have, those folks who are ESL certified, to make sure that we're getting the biggest bang for our buck.
I'll not go through all my questions. I might talk to you later.
Sure.
The only last thing is, I know on here there's a lot of accountability that's coming back, but also will the board get a report back on the accountability side at the end of the year? of
Yes.
How this went?
Yes, I mean, we can even get it before the end of the year.
You know,
Yes, yes,
whenever it's complete, whatever
Yes.
that would mean, I'd just like to see the results.
absolutely.
Absolutely.
Because this has been, I commend you on the
Thank you.
Very informative.
plan.
So I have a question for you.
Yeah.
So a lot of information about walkthroughs, feedback to the teachers, you know, working with your staff, and that's good. It's all good information. My question is, when you're looking at improving your campus, especially for the middle school, you're at that first level funnel from the elementary schools. What information, based on your student performance, based on how your students perform from sixth grade, rolled into seventh grade and eighth grade, are you feeding back to the elementary campuses? Because although we like to say we're vertically and horizontally aligned, we know that's very difficult because your teachers are all different on each campus, your kids are all different on each campus, but you know, you have them all, right? But we have data, and this is why I ask about data. Do we look at data to see where, and this is not to identify a problem teacher or a problem campus, but it's to identify from, on my campus of sixth graders, we're having a particular issue in this area, and they all happen to be coming from this elementary school. Maybe there's just something missing, a gap there that, you know, feedback to them could say, hey, can y'all make sure we're checking this part out? We're seeing a gap between your campus and other campuses, so they can at that particular campus can take a look at it and say, yeah, we got to make some changes. What is it that we need to change? Are we making that? Because that's what I don't see in the communication and the data. I don't know where data's flowing back and forth. We're on our individual campuses, and even between elementary schools. You know, one campus is doing great, maybe another campus is struggling area. How do we make sure that everybody's kind of doing the same thing?
Right.
So when they get to his campus or her campus, they're all kind of on that same level, same page. It'll be easier now that you're going to be split because there's only a handful of elementary schools going here, but right now you have everybody going into one. It's hard to do. But data's data. That, you know, you've had 5 or 6 years of data on a kid.
Right. Ms.
Use
Owen,
it
would you like to talk about the templates that you are using and how y'all talk about in your principals meetings, how they're connecting? Okay. Yes. This might help answer your question. She and I talked a little bit today about that.
Similar to what Mr. Thompson shared, kind of, I guess, how we were raised in Red Oak, looking at data. So every 6 weeks at every elementary, we have a data meeting. We identify our low teaks. We start with celebrations, of course, our high teaks, and then we look at how are we going to intervene. We have a different protocol for different percentages. Is it a whole group reteach? Is it something that we bring into talent time? Is it something that we spiral? Is it something that's going to come up later in the YAG? So they're going to get additional practice. Is it something that we need to target a specific group of students that we do after school tutoring? And so every one of our elementary campuses does that every 6 weeks for every CBA.
And then they have principals meetings as well where y'all coordinate as well.
Yes, and along with the walkthroughs, in the past 2 years, we've started doing cross-campus calibrations, kind of like what you were referring to. You know, we have those high-performing teachers, so we are taking other teachers to go watch those teachers, which is a huge step, right? That's very vulnerable to have other teachers come into your classroom. But we have identified several of our top performers, and that's where we send brand new teachers, teachers that may be struggling with the content or in a new grade level, and then also our campus principals go into those classrooms as well.
Ms. Corns, would you talk about the data as far as how y'all coordinate the data among campuses? I just want to try to give y'all everything that might help pull this together.
So we've done several pieces the last 2 years. We've done just walking the campuses through making sure they understand where domain 1, how it's calculated, and how the whole campus, like Mr. Thompson talked about. So we did that for every campus this year. We've done the growth, looking at domain 2 and understanding that my job is to not let a kid go backwards, that I've got to make sure that they are moving forward. And then we also look at, like you were talking about, the TEKS and that vertical alignment. So there's actually a document that says, if a student isn't doing well here, this is where it connects previous grade levels. And so we run those documents for each campus at the beginning of the year so that they can see what our trends are over time and where our gaps are. And then we share, the curriculum department has access to those so that they can see, is there a piece across the district along with that. This year, we also ran blueprints for the campuses so that they could see their top TEKS and their low TEKS for each of the different areas, and so that they could see that historical piece as well.
So I understand what you're saying. And that's great that we're looking at things every 6 weeks or whatever time frame you're looking at it. I'm more on a granular level. I'm a teacher. I'm at the 6th grade campus. I have X number of kids. I should be able to see my kids' data going back, 4 or 5 years, right?
Mhm.
Okay. Are they looking at that? That's my question. Are we looking at the data? Do the teachers understand that they can do that? And I know it's hard. I know it's difficult to do that. Can we create dashboards for these teachers to be able to pull up information for their particular kids and see, because they're all taking the same tests, right? They're all kind of learning the same thing from these different campuses. Just where you got the high kids are doing pretty well, and you got your kids that are struggling. What are the gaps?
So there's a couple of different reports that we're working with them on right now. So one of the things is we're giving them, any teacher that's a TIA eligible teacher is getting their historical data so that they can track that growth this year specifically. In our program is Eduphoria, so you might hear that program thrown around a while. So Eduphoria they have their profile, and so they can go into any student and see their historical profile in there. And then we actually upgraded to Eduphoria Premium, and then that one we're able to track their TEKS over time for this school year, as well as being able to see how they've done previous years. So there's several different dashboards. It just depends on which exactly the teacher's looking at.
So if you took your staff on your campus, how do you feel your teachers do to be able to pull data, look at data, interpret data?
I think that's an excellent question. And I think when we started the year, not so great. I think now a lot better. I really do. I think for some of our teachers, they just were not familiar with the data collection pieces that we have used in this district for years. And so they needed some training. Thankfully, I've been trained pretty well, so I can do that. I've hired a couple of instructional coaches that know that process as well, and they've been able to do that as well. I think another part of that, and it's not represented in the LIP, but trying to give time back to teachers to actually have a chance to breathe and look at this. We've changed our professional learning community, or our PLC meeting times. They no longer take place during a teacher's conference period. Instead, we use subs, we use a rotating schedule to ensure that when they're able to meet together, they're not losing their planning time. And I think that's gone a long way towards helping them take a breath and be able to stop and focus and actually look at that data.
John had the same question, and just as asked Ms. Sanford was, we're really good at pulling the data, but can we read the data? Are the teachers able to read it and understand it, and then how to work with it? And I think that's the part that I don't want to say we're lost on, is that we're really good at it and we got a whole bunch, but do they understand how to use it? And I think that's the biggest gap with that, is just being able to how how to read it, how to interpret it, and how do we fix it from it, from the data.
I think you're right. I think one of the things that we emphasize when they miss questions on a test, did the teacher know why the student chose an answer that they chose? I mean, that's a simple thing. As any educator knows that you ought to have an answer for that, right? They chose A. Why would they have chosen A if that's not the right answer? And so we've been instilling that so that the teachers don't just look overall, well, 33% of the class got this. It's like, no, what answers were they putting? I mean, I had a data meeting today, and that's exactly what we were doing. You know, we're looking at why did they miss this? Why did they choose that? And then, of course, then what does that mean for our intervention? So
We call it the book of why in medicine. You look at it and you go, why or how? So very good. Thank you. The report's great.
Thank you.
Sure.
They discovered that they needed to adjust advisory time. So advisory was during the middle of the school day, and they've moved it to the end of the school day, and just they've identified the kids that need intervention, and those kids are strategically placed with some of our strongest teachers in RLA, math, and science. And so shout out to the middle schools for, because that took a lot of work. I mean, that's a lot of kids to strategically place during an advisory period. So.
It's fantastic.
So the question that we had over here was, the worst rating that we had on the page there was our 8th grade history and social studies. Those kids are freshmen. What percentage of the freshmen that got us that score are, how many, do kids not get an F anymore? And if you get an F, you stay back? Like, what the heck?
That's not their grade. That's going to be just the accountability grade.
Right.
So, but yes, if they don't pass.
If I suck at my job, I don't get to go to the next promotion, right?
Right.
Right. You get held back, or
Yep.
you don't earn a promotion. But the next thing that we need to know is, how are those freshmen doing? Where are they at in their deal, and how do we help to correct their progress?
You want to talk about your intervention for incoming students? You'll have to come to the mic.
Sorry.
No. This is good. This is a good conversation.
That's good. So like social studies for 8th graders, they don't take another history test until they're juniors in high school for U.S. history. But those kids who were not successful on that are on mastery prep during their talent time and getting some intervention based on the lowest TEKS that they scored.
Yes.
And so that's where we're at with those students.
Okay.
Same thing for the ones that were not successful on the reading, math, or science.
And so it's a requirement that they go to talent time?
Well, they all have talent time.
Okay.
It's aligned with their 5th period class.
Okay.
So.
Gotcha. The other thing is that the teachers who are in charge of, I'll punch myself in the face. Our history and social studies teachers are typically what teachers? What else are they doing?
The majority of them are also coaching.
Yeah. So I think that we need to make sure that we're we're an academic facility first.
Mm-hmm.
We need to make sure that we remember that. And if we're not getting the job done, then we need to fix it. Right? Thank you.
I guess the only other thing I had was, the analysis of the data when it's transferred from, and I was thinking about this when John was talking about the elementary level, when it moves into the secondary, that data that's transferred, if there's areas of concern, does the program flag it? Have flags to where a red flag as that data comes through, so you can say, oh, let me catch this right fast, or.
Yeah, and now I wouldn't say that it's like an automatic thing. I think that that's the point of us having those frequent data meetings, is so that we can actually stop and look at the kids that are, how have they done traditionally, how did they do in the last one, and how are they doing now? And if we are noticing a trend in the wrong direction, we have a chance to do something about it. There's not like an automatic, flag that's going to occur, but that is part of training our teachers to know their students and to know their data. I mean, it's as simple as, when I started working here, they said, hey, you take last year's STAR score and put it on your seating charts. You just put that number right next to the kid. So before you even teach that child, oh, I know how they did on STAR test last year. I think we've been going back to some of those moments. And so when you're putting grades in your grade book, hey, that's a lot lower. That's a lot higher than what they're usually, have been accustomed to getting. And so we need to use that as either a motivator to tell them how great they're doing, or as a motivator to say, hey, what's going on?
Yeah, I want to make sure none of our children are falling through
Agreed.
a crack.
Yep.
Good stuff.
Fantastic. Thank y'all so much.
Thank you.
Yes, lots of good information. Okay, and I just have real quickly a few announcements and then I'll be through with my update. Just yesterday was a very exciting day and many of you were at the Dr. Joy Shaw Middle School ribbon cutting, so great turnout and the community was really thrilled. So just a shout out again to everyone who helped make that happen, putting it together, and for the board for calling for that bond in our community, for getting out there and passing that bond. We had our senior citizen luncheon on the 13th at the Red Oak Municipal Center. We had about 120, I know it was over 100 Red Oak senior citizens that attended, and I just want to thank the city of Red Oak for allowing us to use their facility. Red Oak ISD, I know everybody hold your breath, will be closed November 24th through November 28th. I know that staff and students are looking forward to that break, and I hope y'all have an amazing Thanksgiving break. Coffee Talk will take place on Wednesday, December the 3rd at 7:45. If you'll put that on your calendar, that's become a very good way for us to all communicate with our community. A big event coming up December the 4th. Please don't forget this. Toys for Tots will be at the Red Oak High School from 5 p.m. to 8 p.m. And we're excited about that. It's always a great event. Next Mobile Food Pantry. Please remember this as well, because at the holidays is when we have the most needs that come forward, is December the 11th, Thursday, December the 11th at 4 p.m. here at the ESC. And our next regular board meeting is scheduled for Monday, December the 15th at 6 p.m. That's all I have.
Next, we have open forum, and we did have one person to sign up tonight. But first, I have to read to y'all. Okay, we now move to the public comment section of our agenda. The board welcomes comments from citizens who have completed public comment forms this evening. These are accepted prior to the start of the meeting and are not transferable to other speakers. Please be advised that the information shared in public comment is the opinion of the individual speaker, not the district. 2 minutes per person have been allotted for public comments. Please keep all public comments related to school district governance and operations. If you have a specific concern related to an employee of the district or a specific student issue, you're encouraged to utilize the district's grievance procedures provided in board policies on the district website. Finally, remember that the board may not discuss or act upon any issues that are not properly posted on the agenda. So when I call your name, please step to the podium and state your name for the record. The clock will start after you state your name. And we have Hanson Inyang.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you. My name is Hanson Inyang. I live in Red Oak. I believe that my concern regarding a security matter at Red Oak Elementary is currently being addressed through appropriate internal channels. So I am deferring my time tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
We appreciate your emails.
Thank you.
Okay, next we will move to consent agenda. Does any board members have any of the items that they want to pull from the consent agenda? Okay, if not, do I hear a motion?
I make a motion that we approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
That's a motion by Mr. Knight and a second by Mr. Sebring. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Pose same sign. Motion passes 7-0. Okay, next is the approval of a resolution and ballot election for the Ellis County Appraisal District Board of Directors for 2026. Ms. Sanford?
Yes. So just reminder of that. Okay, you have in your packet where there is an opportunity for the board to cast their votes to elect directors for the Ellis County Appraisal District for the years of 2026. You have 152 votes that you can either give to one individual or you can choose to split amongst individuals. And so at this time, the board will just need to determine, you have 4 candidates: Tim Cummings, Walter Irwin, Sherry Lampkin, and Nathan Potter. And again, 152 votes that you can give to one candidate or you can split amongst others. So that's what's before you.
Do we have any motions?
I'll make the motion that we nominate Walter Irwin III.
Do I have a second?
Second.
That's a motion by Ms. Knight and a second by Mr. Sebring. Now, we're going to do something different than we have in the past for various reasons. But when we vote, I need, when you say aye, you need to raise your hand. And Ms. Sanford, or do we do that individually or all say aye and raise our hand at the
You
same
can just
time?
all say aye and raise your hand at the same time would be fine.
Okay. So, all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Pose same sign. Motion passes 7-0.
And just clarification, all 152 votes to that candidate, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. That's not my rule. That's the state of Texas, by the way.
And that, if I'm reading this correctly, that's it for the action items, is it not?
Yes.
Okay, then the time is 7:32, and we will go into closed session.